Hey guys, while Lauren and I are still recovering from our travels, we're pulling one more lost episode out of the vault. This time, our Forgotten Father's Day special.
Are you worried about the men in the Mormon church? Me neither, but let's listen to them. Tonight on the Drunk Mormon Podcast.
Oh, this is the podcast where we drink with the Mormons, strange and peculiar people they may be. Come hear the stories we were taught in our childhood. Come drink and join our eternal family. Come drink and join our eternal family.
Welcome to the Drunk Mormon Podcast.
Welcome, friends!
This is the podcast where we get drunk and talk about people who never get drunk.
The Mormons.
I'm David John Banks, and I was raised Mormon.
I'm Lauren Sackridge, and I have never been Mormon.
And we're your hosts. Each week, we teach Lauren a little bit more about Mormonism. The stories from the Book of Mormon, stories from Mormon church history, interesting things that Mormons believe. But this week is our Father's Day special. And we've brought in Jordan from the Sober Special back to be our guest and our designated driver.
Double duty.
We learned from
It's a 2-for-1.
We learned from editing our last podcast that it's good to have a designated driver.
Yeah, it's very necessary.
So he's back, and
Clutch.
we're here to talk about all things male,
Fatherly.
male and phallic. So it's going to be a good ride. Buckle your seatbelts. First, we have one very important point of business, though.
Oh no, what is it?
Some more reviews. So maybe we could read a few more reviews.
I mean, we're doing the reviews thing. We appreciate the reviews, so let's read some more.
Yeah, we had some people write in reviews.
And our favorite one happens to be written in a Southern accent.
Oh my God.
So I am going to turn the time over to DJB.
You made a promise, and I have to keep it.
I made a promise for you to keep. So
Okay. This is a review by someone named Logan.
okay.
The title is "To Be Read in a Southern Accent."
Oh my.
So here's my best swing at that. This is the best gosh darn podcast in all of Mormonism at the moment. Darn tootin', yippity doo, the podcast's cool. Yeehaw, partners.
Was that it?
That was it.
That was awesome. Could you do it again? No one can see this, but could you just do it for me with finger guns? Pew pew pew.
Maybe off.
Maybe off the air. Well, thank you, Logan, for our wonderful review.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you for making me do that. Love the reviews. Keep writing them. Eventually we'll read some more. You don't have to do it in an accent, but you can.
It's way more fun.
But other than that, that's all that I have. So maybe we should just move on
Let's
to
get
the
to our,
refreshments.
yeah.
So here's the thing. My turn to pick a drink, and because it's Father's Day, I thought, what's more man?
Yeah.
What is a more male drinking experience than breaking out some brews? And so I told Lauren to pick her favorite or least hated brand of beer, and we're chugging them today.
We're going to drink beer.
We're drinking beer today.
I will say,
Cervezas.
I hate beer.
I actually hate beer too. I just thought it would be good for the theme.
It's
It
a
is
good
a great
theme.
I will say, because I hate beer, instead of picking my favorite or my least favorite, I just picked the most alcoholic one I could find. And I feel like that's going to guide me well.
What is it?
It's from Boulder, Colorado.
Oh.
It's called Upslope. It's a mosaic double India Pale Ale, and it's 8.2% alcohol by volume.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
I have a couple types of beer. I got some Budweiser,
The king of beers.
which is the king
The
of
king.
beers. I don't think I've actually ever had Budweiser itself, and I just feel like this is like that's what you do, you know? you're a guy and you got your pickup truck and your gun and some Budweiser.
I'm gonna crack open
Is it
Budweiser.
Bud Light or Bud Heavy?
No, it's Bud normal.
Bud
heavy.
overweight. Yeah.
I'm trying to find out what its alcohol content is. Where does it tell you? It's just a can.
It should just say it somewhere on there.
5%
Yeah.
alcohol per volume. So I have that, and then I just haven't really got into beer, but there is one brand of beer that I'm like, this is fine. I can drink this, and that's Pacifico. So I also have some Pacifico because I feel like I'll need more than one. But I thought I would
Great.
start with Budweiser for the main beer.
Okay, I have a question
Okay.
about
Yeah.
beer, which is I've only ever smelled it, and it smells like something I would definitely say no thank you to.
Yes.
Politely but
Yeah.
firmly.
Yeah.
So does it taste like it smells? You know what I mean? Like it's
Not like as bad, but it's very.
It's like liquid bread. Like
Yeah, it tastes like-
damp
like
bread.
the
like
aftertaste-
moist bread.
The aftertaste is like bread. It's
Right.
Oh,
made
I
out
just
of.
hate it. It's also just like not practical. Like bourbon whiskey is like 43% out. This one that I have right here is 43% alcohol by
holy
volume.
cow.
Like that liquor is gonna get you drunk. Beer's just gonna waste your time. Like
Right, because
And
it's
your
like
calories.
I understand
And your
drinking
calories.
a
What is the point
lightly
of this?
alcoholic drink because you enjoy the flavor, but I don't even enjoy the flavor of beer. So I agree, I don't get the point of it. So we're gonna do it now and probably never again, unless we tour
We're
a
gonna do it
brewery or
this
something
once.
fun. So we're gonna do it this one time. So here's my can of Budweiser. So here's like this is me getting the like male college experience that I never got as a child. Or as a college
oh,
student.
that's nice. Okay, this
Oh,
is my.
gross! It's like foamy in there. Do you see
Yeah,
that?
that's what beer
Yeah,
is.
it's always that's what it looks
I've
like.
only had beer in a glass at a restaurant
Oh.
or in a
Bougie
bottle.
bitch over here.
All right, this is the sound of my hipster beer. Lighter.
Ooh,
That felt lighter. you know?
It felt hip.
here, smell it.
Actually,
I'm
that
so
smells
unhappy.
good.
This smells good to you?
That smells better than what I remember it smelling like.
All right,
Are you?
cheers. I'm gonna drink some.
Let's do another webcam cheers. Here we go.
Okay, cheers.
Clink. I'll be the sound effects. I'm your Foley artist as well as designated driver.
Aha.
I wish you could see Lauren's face right now. And DJB's. Let's describe this for you gently. DJB is covering his mouth like he either has a secret or is trying to not laugh, but I think it's to not vomit. And then Lauren looked like she was trying to bat a fly away because it was just a lot of gross.
Okay, so the first
mine tells you what it's flavored like. I just noticed this.
Ooh.
Sorry, the ingredients. Wow, the ingredients are snow melt.
What the hell?
Snow melt, because it's from Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
so water.
Yeah, water.
And then it tastes like hoppy, tropical, and fruity.
That sounds like a really great, like a gay cereal trio. Like cereal mascot. Hoppy, like Snap, Trapple, and Pop.
the gay version.
Hoppy, tropical, and
Well,
fruity.
I feel bad because, like, I guarantee you this is a really nice beer. Like, I don't mean to talk shit on it, but, like, I really hate beer.
I just looked at the freshest before date on mine, and
doesn't
it's
matter.
from like half a month ago. So
Those are like Twinkies. They're not going to go bad.
this also has 1.3 grams of protein in it, which is interesting.
Oh,
Hey, actually, that's pretty
manly.
good. That's pretty good.
That's better
for
than
men.
a lot of protein bars.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, wait. So I've always seen like you can shotgun it or you can chug.
Shotgun it?
Yeah, that's like isn't
Yeah.
that where you like shake it up and then you like cut a hole in the bottom? Wait, how does it work?
I wouldn't shake it. I would not shake the beer. Shotgunning is you punch a hole in the bottom.
With like your keys
And then
or something.
with the key, yeah. And then you put your mouth to the hole and then you open it. And once you open it, the air coming in the top pushes all the beer through the hole.
No.
And it's like really
Yes.
intense.
We're not doing that.
Well,
That
you
would make
already
a
opened
mess.
it, so that ruined that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But can you chug it? Like, is that something that you can to
my
have the
God.
full experience?
No.
Chug it.
No.
Just do 3
I
big
think you should
gulps.
chug it. No,
Big,
like
3
now that
big
you
chugs.
haven't, Well, no, because you were like, just 2 minutes ago, you were like, this is my college experience, and that's chugging a beer.
You won't have,
That's
if you're
chugging
sipping
a
this.
shitty beer.
Okay, so chugging just means you drink it really fast, right?
You just drink it really fast. Yeah,
all in one go?
You should take a knee. The proper form is to take a knee.
Ooh, there's a
like
form?
like a marriage proposal
Like,
okay,
yeah.
please,
yeah, like
I want
Tim
you to
Tebow.
propose to me.
by chugging a beer.
With this beer.
Okay.
Please.
Oh my god.
You're caught on the rug.
I'm trying to scoot my chair back. To
There you
make
go,
room.
you got it.
Okay. Oh my god.
Okay, here he goes, folks.
Chug it. Chug.
Here we go.
3, 2.
Oh no! Wait! Don't! That's too much pressure. Okay.
You got this.
Give me another countdown, just like a gentle one.
Just a gentle
yeah,
chug.
just not as loud.
I'm not gonna look at you, so you don't feel pressure. I'm looking off in the distance.
Okay. You have to count.
Oh, I still have to count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it in Spanish so it doesn't feel.
Okay, on the count of 3.
Okay.
Uno, dos.
Wait, you have to count down.
Shit. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hey!
Hey! Keep going.
Chug. He's still going. I don't think you're doing it fast enough.
I can't. Oh god. I got half of it down.
Wait, let me test. Let me feel this. That is not half.
Look at
That
it.
is like 3.
Oh man, that aftertaste is
It's
painful.
so dense.
This is literally
I
still.
tried. It
like
wasn't
the
coming out of the
heaviest
can very fast. How the
You-
hell are you supposed to chug a whole can?
A whole can, right?
I
And then
couldn't
you
do it.
crush it at the end. You like.
Oh,
You
fuck.
crush the can.
I don't know if that got picked up on the microphone. We can edit it out.
What happened?
I burped. How are you feeling as far
Are we
as
ready? For
I think I'm
our-
ready.
Let's talk about the men, folk.
We're playing with the boys today on the podcast.
You're playing with the big boys now.
Time for the lesson. Have you guys remembered the movie Top Gun?
You know that I've never seen Top Gun.
And then there's that
What?
There's that
I know.
song when they're doing their shirtless beach volleyball.
Yeah.
Playing with the boys. And it's like incredibly
most homoerotic
homoerotic.
thing.
Very homoerotic.
So good. Oh my god. You know what, Dad? If you're still wondering why, we watched that movie when I was a kid. That plus Newsies, that did it for me.
You know, that's like the perfect Venn diagram movie of dads that are straight and boys that are gay. They can both enjoy Top Gun really well together. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
in
great
different
activity.
Nice.
So, future
love Tom
ideas
Cruise.
for dads with gay
I don't even
sons.
care about his Scientology. Like, you know what? I had a great time in that Mummy movie. I don't care.
Oh,
what
I didn't watch the
anybody
Mummy movie.
says. Well, it wasn't great. Okay, so we're here for the Mansplaining Father's Day special to
Yes.
to counter the Mother's Day special and sort of talk about the experience of being male
In the church.
in the Mormon Church. The male experience.
It's, you know what? It's
Here's
pretty
the thing:
great.
there's not a lot of conflict, especially
You know-
if you're heterosexual. The number one thing that comes to my mind growing up, the biggest thing about being a guy in the Mormon Church is you get the priesthood.
True.
So I'm 12 years old, and I'm in an interview with my bishop. And bishop's interviews are where the bishop comes and they ask you a lot of like quick personal questions about your moral worthiness, which, you know, some people argue isn't necessarily the most appropriate thing because a lot of it also involves like your sexual conduct.
It very easily can break into like, ooh, that's not appropriate.
There's certain things that maybe you shouldn't ask children, like specifics about how and if they masturbate, and their
True.
sexual
Yet
experiences.
it occurs.
Yet it occurs. But if you pass that test, if you say all the right lies, then you get the Aaronic priesthood, and you're 12 fucking years old, and you have the power to act in God's behalf.
Here's my question. Like, do you think it was so cool because you were 12 and that was cool? Or, like, is it still cool to you now that you have the Aaronic priesthood?
Now,
Because Julia is like, well, I don't care. I'm not doing anything with it. You clearly, you're going to baptize me. Like, you're not doing anything with it. Like, Jordan, I don't know what your
like-
relationship is to it. Like,
well, I mean, one, it should be clarified. Jordan and I both now have the Melchizedek priesthood, which is the
Oh, you
higher
do?
priesthood. Yeah,
Oh,
I totally
okay.
do.
I didn't know that.
I got it before I went to college.
Nice.
So. you
and
know.
which one is that?
So it's
You can heal
just
people.
the higher priesthood. So that's when you can heal people,
Right.
And
Bless people in all kinds of ways.
and it's sort of like the unlimited priesthood. So like Aaronic priesthood is like priesthood with parental controls. There's certain
Right.
parameters.
Safe search is
Melchizedek
off.
priesthood.
But this kind of seems like, to me, like the rules of the genie from Aladdin. You're like, I can do all this stuff, but like I can't hurt anybody, I can't kill anybody, I can't make people fall in love. So like, what use is this priesthood?
You know what it is
And
to me?
no offense, I just
Oh.
explain to me.
That's actually a good
To
parallel.
me, you know what it feels like? It's very much like it's just a club initiation.
Yeah.
It's very much like, okay, here comes age 12, getting ready, it's my turn.
So when you turn 12, you sit in a chair.
And then your dad is there and he puts his hands on your head with maybe if you have some other, like your bishop will probably as well put his hands on your head. Couple, like if you have brothers that are old enough like I had, my brothers were there.
I was the oldest boy, so
Oh, okay, so I was the youngest boy.
And I didn't live near any uncles or grandpas or anything, but you
Okay.
might have extended family there too.
Basically
if they
any
were
important
local.
male in your life.
Who's local.
It's touching your head.
And then they all stand in a circle around you, put their hands on your head, and then your dad pronounces the ordination of like, because of the authority that he has, you are now ordained to the office of a deacon in the Aaronic priesthood, and then there's like a blessing that he can follow that isn't written down. It's just like what he wants to give you. Yeah. And that's the same pattern for teacher when you're 14, priest when you're 16, and then elder when you're 18. But it's a bigger deal when you are 18 because you're not just going to the bishop, you're going to the bishop and the stake president, and you get a whole new priesthood because now it's not different offices in the Aaronic priesthood, it's the Melchizedek priesthood.
Yeah.
So it's
I
all a
mean,
big
talking
deal.
just about the 12-year-old thing, like it literally does feel like you're reaching like a level of spiritual maturity. You do feel like a different class. Like I remember becoming a
very much a
deacon
club.
and being like, I have arrived. I am now a man. I am now spiritually responsible. And I was a fucking 12-year-old. Like, Jesus Christ, what did I know? Nothing. But in my head, I thought, I have all this responsibility now
Yes, it's
to
very-
serve God
Yeah.
as a representative of his gospel.
Can I ask a question? And like, I think this is going to come off snarky. I don't mean it to be. But like when Julia was talking about it, you go up these levels of women's choir or whatever, and then you're in the Relief Society and you're like actively helping a bunch of people.
Yes.
But the way you're kind of describing the men going up in a circle is like you all touch each other's heads and give each other more like titles, but you're not doing anything. Like, what are you doing comparatively?
Very good question. Well, ideally, again, speaking in like the way it's supposed to work, it would be
Yeah.
like the men, we are like helping bless everybody. So like if now that you have the priesthood and they've all stood in a circle and had this weird little ceremony, now you're passing the sacrament to everybody in the congregation.
Got
You're
it.
blessing the sacrament for everybody to take, and then when you're an elder in the Melchizedek priesthood, now you're confirming people to be members of the church when they get baptized. You're blessing people who are sick. If there's a woman who needs, like, who doesn't have a husband or somebody in her family that has the priesthood, and she wants like a blessing of comfort because she's going through a really tough divorce or she's going through a death in the family, then you like can give her a blessing and help her out and all that kind of stuff. Like that's sort of the
Right.
idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I guess you also like help people move a lot. like you're sort
That's
of the
true.
muscle, not the brains. The women are like the brains and the ones that are sort of doing all of the
So
actual
like,
stuff.
for
We show
instance,
up.
if someone in the ward, right, someone in the community has a big life event, the women show up with food.
Yes.
The men show up to help you move furniture and boxes into a truck.
Do the heavy lifting.
So
That's
like
pretty much it.
anytime someone's moving in or
Okay.
out, they throw out a call, like at the bat signal.
The bat signal goes up and the elder's quorum comes out of the cave.
The ones who are willing anyway.
Yeah, we call it in my family we call it STP. It's the same 10 people. So the same 10 people are always
so true, though.
doing that. They're the ones that are at every activity, the ones that are helping at everything, every event. It's the same 10 people.
That's hilarious. My family did not call it that. But it's true. That's how it goes.
So what is like the where are you? What's the male mission? Like, where are you trying to go? What are you
like broad term mission, or you mean specifically missionary?
Well, I'm straight comparing it to the last podcast we did where who was our guest?
Erica
like read a statement, and the statement was like, we recognize women like to be daughters, wives, mothers, and then friends.
Yeah.
So like, is it like men are like attaining more people to the church, or like?
So men, I would say, are more of a literal representation of God on the earth. That's what the priesthood, from my understanding,
little tiny responsibility.
That's what the priesthood is it's the literal power of God through men as his instruments. So God's not here doing his thing, so he has us doing it, and he through us and our worthiness blesses us with the ability to enact immortal power through our mortal bodies. So men with the Melchizedek priesthood can call upon the ministering of angels, whatever the fuck that means, and can bless people with comfort and bless people with healing. So as a member of the Melchizedek priesthood, which I was ordained to, I can go to someone who's having a really hard time, lay my hands on their head, and give them a blessing of comfort, wherein I basically become a mouthpiece for God and receive revelations, in theory, and can speak. And it's like God is sort of like impressing upon me what words to say to give them comfort.
Yeah.
And as someone who has received blessings of comfort, it's this very like ASMR kind of experience where you just feel like very intimate and warm and fuzzy because they're touching your head and they're speaking really softly and they're saying these very comforting things that like a normal person wouldn't say to you, and it's supposed to be from God. So it's like this very intense, quote unquote, spiritual experience.
That's nice.
In college, because I went to BYU, and
the Lord's Church,
the
Provo one.
Yes, every other one is not.
That's where we became friends.
That's where we became friends.
Yeah.
Wow.
Despite how flaky you were and how antisocial I was,
that's true.
Somehow there was longevity.
Somehow. But anyway, so at BYU, I gave so many blessings I can't even count to different people, but particularly women, friends of mine, and it is very like there's this feeling of there is a lot of pressure because you are supposed to be speaking for like the Lord, and there's also a sense of like, so it's a lot of pressure and nervousness, but there's also this weird sense of like power where because you're sort of like a lot of the girls that I gave blessings to would like literally record the blessing on their phone so that they could like listen to it later or take notes after the fact. Like they'd be like, okay, let me just. Because it was like I just transmitted a message from God to them,
Here's my question. What you're saying is like very, very nice. But like as little children, did you ever like if I as a 12-year-old or a college student was like I now have the literal powers of God, I would try like lightning. Like I would try to I tried to turn water into wine.
I tried to walk on water once for real.
Yes,
I did too.
Yes. Oh my God. Tell me about it.
I was like probably 12 and and we had a pool in my backyard because in Phoenix, Arizona, there's nothing else to do. And so it was like alone and it was Sunday and I was just like had no siblings to play with and I was bored and we didn't have a TV. And so I was like, okay. And I was like wandering around the backyard and I just like kind of made eyes at the pool and I was just like, are you into this? And then I was like, I'm into this. Are you gonna support me as I walk on you? And the pool just looked back at me and was like, try it, bitch. And I was like, okay. So I like walked up to it and I was like, if I just like say a little prayer, I wonder if I have enough faith And then I was like, you can't even doubt, not even for a second. You can't doubt.
Exactly.
You have to believe fully. And so I was just like,
100%.
Okay. And then I was like, you know what, though? I am going to step into the water over the steps just in case it doesn't work. I don't go all the way down. Which I was like, this is a bad idea because you're already doubting
That's
it.
doubt. That's doubt right there.
Yeah, but then I stepped in and you know what? It did not work.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I also believe that because when you're Mormon, and I'm sure other religions have similar experiences, I remember it was sort of painted in my mind, whether intentionally or not, that was the case. Like 100% faith would yield miracles. And I also tried to walk on water. I also grew up on Nickelodeon, and one of the shows was The Secret World of Alex Mack, who was that girl who would like move things with her mind using like 2 fingers, right? She would point things and she'd melt into the puddle and slide under the door.
I don't remember the show because, again, I did not have a TV.
Nobody does. If you've heard of this show, slide into our DMs to validate me. Anyway, Secret World of Alex Mack, one of the greatest TV shows of all time. And I, for a lot of my childhood, would like constantly try to move things with my mind or light things on fire with my mind because I was like, I know that I'm smart.
I'm powerful.
I'm genius level smart.
I'm a genius. This has got to work. And then when you're given the priesthood as a kid, it's like, well, fuck.
It's like a real certificate.
Now it's real. When a 12-year-old, in theory, is given the ability to call upon the ministering of angels. That's one of the how it's phrased. Yeah. And what that means is if you're in a period of duress, in theory, you can call upon angels to come and like help you or someone else out, which in my mind was always like an angels in the outfield kind of thing, where like actual corporeal beings would be like, hey, what's up? But then it's sort of like, well, I mean, it's also just like giving people good feelings or giving people bad feelings if they're in a dangerous situation so they know to get out. There's a lot of like feelings. Mormonism is all about like, well, your feelings.
How is it?
Which I think we discussed
Jedi.
last week. It's like, well, it may not be literally true, but it feels true, and so that's how you know it's true.
Yeah, that's a lot of
I do like that they give you these ridiculous powers, but also instill this sense of not foreboding, but like that it is a big deal. And
there's like a weight to it, you know?
Yeah, and that you do have, ties to other people because of this.
It's
like,
Spider-Man. Cool. Great power, great responsibility.
Well, and like I grew up, speaking of, Father's Day, I grew up every year, annually, before school started, we would have like Father's Blessings Day. Like,
yes.
It was like a Sunday night. We started school Monday morning. Every year, all the kids, all 5 of us, would line up, and including my mom, my dad would just stand there, and we'd sit in the chair, and he would stand behind us, and he'd give each of us a blessing one by one about like how we were going to be successful that year, and like how we were going to be diligent and work hard and be spiritual and like all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And we had one every single year, and they called them Father's Blessings.
Yeah, my dad would do it. And in theory, I could go to my dad at any point and be like, hey, can I have a father's blessing? Which is just, my dad pulls out a kitchen chair, I sit down, he puts his hands on my head, and he gives me a blessing of guidance and instruction, basically. Yes. That's what it is. And I've had many in my life. I don't remember a single one.
I only remember one because it was right when I was starting college, BYU, very, very nervous, first time like living away from home, 18 years old, going to a different state, and it was like that my parents were literally about to head out on the plane, and I was like, wait, I haven't had my father's blessing yet, and we didn't have a place to go, so my dad literally just like parked the car. We switched seats, so I was sitting in the driver's seat and he was sitting behind me, so that we were both sitting in the car, and he put his hands on my head sitting down behind me in the car and gave me a blessing before I went to college.
Whoa.
That's so nice.
It was really nice.
Really nice.
I also remember being called upon during college by especially women. I feel like we'd have to ask an actual woman at BYU, but I feel like at BYU it's really pushed on the women to like reach out to your male friends if you need a blessing.
Yes.
Because in theory, like the priesthood should be immediately accessible to you even if you're a woman. And so they would. And it was like, I'm just really stressed about school. And I was always like, okay. But also part of me as a judgmental asshole was like, yeah, maybe you can just figure out your shit by yourself, though. Maybe stop leaning on this crutch of like, oh, I'm feeling insecure. Let me reach out to God. You know what? Why don't you just sit with that uncomfortable feeling for a while, process it, find a healthy reaction to it, instead of always running away and hoping that some spiritual intervention will solve your problems.
Yeah, like culturally, there's definitely like there would be certain friends of mine that I was like, I would say yes on the phone, and then I'd hang up and be like, this is like the 4th blessing they've asked for in like a month. They need, like, I'd start to get a little like peeved.
But also that's the culture. It's like, if you need it, ask for it.
Yeah.
That's what the men are there for, is to respond.
Did you experience this? So here's the other thing that's weird, is the relationship between men who would like a blessing from each other is interesting, because
well, it's weird to ask.
It's very weird to ask.
It would be very vulnerable.
Can you bless yourself?
You cannot bless yourself.
Like with your hands on your own.
So
head.
you have to ask.
Just like
someone else has to do it for you.
Yeah. So it's like very.
It's like it's almost more taboo than standing next to someone at a urinal. Like it's just like, you're a man. You shouldn't need this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in the doctrine is like, should not matter. Doctrinally, it's like, ask your fellow brethren in the priesthood for any help you need, just like the women are. But like culturally
and socially, it's difficult. It's a vulnerability that's like, you're asking people for help.
Well, it's like, because typically if you're looking for a blessing, it's because like something is like up in your life. So to walk up to like a man and be like, would you give me a blessing? You know that they're thinking like, oh, like,
what is going on?
This is very intensely intimate, and I like.
And
we're just
the
like buds,
number one thing, if any man in the Mormon church is like, I'm having a problem, the number one thing you're going to jump to is, oh, you're addicted to pornography.
Very much. Everyone thinks everyone's addicted to pornography, and then kind of everyone is.
And honestly, we need to...
That's so like a funny. Huge leap. Because, like, there's 1,000 things. Like,
am I wrong, though?
If somebody came up to me, you're not wrong, but, like, if someone came up to me and was like, oh, I have a problem, immediately my mind was like, they're gay, they're having premarital sex, they're maybe drinking coffee. Like, there's, like, a plethora of things that could be the problem. But to be like, oh, pornography.
Yeah.
Like, where is that jump made?
I can explain.
Great, go for it.
Well, because you're exactly right.
I'm still drinking my other beer.
Yeah, no, the thing is there, so... If somebody was drinking coffee, this is, again, very, like, weird cultural stuff that I haven't examined, except now that you're asking, it's very interesting to examine. But it's like, if somebody was, like, drinking coffee or even drinking alcohol, it's like, I feel like they wouldn't reach out for, like, a blessing necessarily. I never experienced that. But, like, if somebody was having a problem, like, in our generation... people like the prophets on like in like general conference had been talking about pornography incessantly for like years, since the time I was like 10 years old, basically since the internet was a thing. Talking about how evil it is to stay away from it at all costs. It's like, don't do it. But of course everyone our age stumbled upon it at some point, because we knew how to use the internet and our parents didn't. And so we like, it became a thing. So I feel like culturally, every time somebody was just like, I've just been really struggling lately, my first thought is like, oh, with a pornography problem? Like,
every time!
I don't know why.
It's just a thing. Well, also, I think it's fair at this point to acknowledge priesthood session of General Conference. So, Lauren, you've learned about General Conference, right? We talked about it.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes. It's the big meeting, and then
And on Mother's Day, we talked about Kate Kelly and the ordained women movement. And they had this big march to go to the priesthood session of conference, and that's because with every session of General Conference, and they happen twice a year, April and October, one of the sessions is for men only.
Yes.
And recently they've opened it up, and I think anyone can watch a broadcast of it.
Everywhere,
But it used to be the priesthood session wasn't broadcast on television. You still had to go to the church to watch it, because it was a private broadcast, because it was for men only.
Mm-hmm.
Special messages from God to the men. And to be fair, there was also a Relief Society session of conference, or women's session, a women's session of General Conference that was broadcast on its different weekend, like usually the weekend before.
Yeah.
So ordained women was marching down to Salt Lake to be like, yo, we want to be allowed to walk into the priesthood session. Because in theory, men could attend the women's session. It was just like, it would be weird.
They didn't want to.
Like, why would they show up? They're talking about how to be good moms. So now the priesthood session, I believe, is broadcast as well. So you could watch it at home if you wanted on BYU TV. Anyone.
As a woman.
As a woman, you could watch it. But it's geared towards men. And growing up in this, having this, like, these men-only experiences was very, like, subliminally, how should we say, it was a very subliminal introduction to me in the, like, implicit hierarchy I had as a male. I never, like, examined it as a kid, but it was like, oh, okay, it's the boys-only club. Like, I'm on the cool team. Like when you get picked for kickball and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good team because I have the good players on my team. I got picked on the good players team. But every single year, in fact, every single session, there would be a talk about pornography as this rampant addiction disease. Pornography. I remember once I saw a supercut floating around on YouTube that I've since looked for and can't find. Have you seen it?
No, but I'm imagining it.
Of every single time someone mentioned pornography. If you know where this is, please send a link to us in our DMs because I can't find it. It's just like the
general authorities, all these
and
white
so it's
men
just
saying
like pornography, ending with the late prophet Gordon B. Hinckley saying, no clue what the context was, the porn queen. And so, like, really Mormons hate pornography because pornography, it makes people feel icky inside and it's all about our feelings. Anyway, I was definitely a pornography watcher as a child because it was the only way for me to explore my homosexuality in any way. Like, I wasn't going to interact with people about it. I was 14. Can't be gay in the early 2000s still. No. So I was a pornography watcher and I dreaded general conference because I knew there would be a talk about pornography, and I just always assumed that during the talk everyone would see my reaction to the talk and be able to tell them, look at that guilt written all over his face. He's a porn watcher. He watches the porn. And I was told twice a year that I was addicted to pornography.
Yeah, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy when you talk about it all the time and everybody's so, like, afraid of it but also intrigued by it.
Yeah, and
it's so
then you participate in it and you feel really good and feel really shameful. And there have been scientific studies that, like, correlate feelings of shame with increased dependency on pornography. So it's like, okay, so you're not addicted, but the more ashamed of your pornography viewing that you feel, the more addictive your relationship with pornography becomes.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, okay.
It's anyway, very interesting.
That's why anytime my father was giving me a blessing, I was like, he's going to know.
Yeah.
And that's why anytime you might go to some other man and be like, I need help, it's because you're basically taught that most of the men around you have an addiction to pornography. And you tell yourself that you are one of the very small majority who don't, even though you know that you watch pornography.
You also watch pornography.
You know exactly what internet browsing history you were erasing.
You know how to erase it.
The only other, like, really important thing men are expected to do is to get married. So, for instance, I came out to my father when I was 19 as homosexual. And the reason I finally came out to him, besides it just being really healthy to do, was because he was giving me a hard time because I wasn't going on a Mormon mission. And so he's starting to say, well, if you're not going to go on a mission, like, that's fine, but then you need to really turn your attention to dating and finding a nice woman to marry. Because Mormons, as we've learned, literally believe that your eternal salvation is dependent on whether or not you get married.
True.
The most important thing you're supposed to do when you're born is like, okay, they just need to go on a mission. And as soon as you're done with your mission, all of the attention for the entire rest of your life is get married, and once you're married, bear children and take care of your wife.
Yeah.
And in Brigham Young, who we've talked about a little bit here and there, said famously that any 25-year-old man, and this is again the mid-1800s, any man who is 25 years or older who is not married is, quote, a menace to society.
Yeah.
And this is like half jokingly brought up.
This is like, this is even within Mormon culture, it's like its own meme where people, even who are LDS, will be like,
I'm going to be honest with you. I
menace to
believe
society.
25-year-old men in general are a menace.
They're
to
always
society.
going to be a menace to society. Single 25-year-old man menace. Well, I can give you an anecdotal evidence from literally 1 week ago today. I was visiting my girlfriend's grandmother in Utah, in Salt Lake, the heart of the epicenter of Mormonism.
As far as like the Father's Day, the important thing of being a man, as far as I have always understood it, inside the Mormon Church, my main job was to be a righteous authority. It's like my responsibility growing up is to be a good person so that I am a righteous leader of those around me.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
And I don't know if women are conditioned to be leaders, but for me it was always about like, you eventually will be called upon to be a leader.
Yeah.
And you want to be righteous so that you can be a righteous leader. And so there's stories in the Book of Mormon and whatever about being a good leader, because you might be a bishop someday, you might be a stake president, you might be a mission president, you might be,
but you're for sure going to be a
an
dad.
elders quorum president, but you're definitely going to be a dad. And when you're a dad, your job is to be in charge of your entire family's spiritual welfare. Lauren is reacting like this
I'm
is
sorry.
crazy.
Like, I think that is so nice and very wholesome. But, like, you have the literal power of God. How is that it? Like, I don't... Like, if this was a Greek... Like, if this was Greek, it'd be like, my job is to fell cities and raise mountains. Like, I don't, like...
We have very low expectations of God.
Yeah, but like, what?
One explanation for that may be that the literal power of God is a lot more figurative than it is literal. And
the phrase literal is figurative.
If priesthood holders tried to go fell cities and race mountains, it wouldn't work. I'm only saying this from our shared anecdotal evidence of not walking on water.
Yeah.
So that might be part of it. It's like, oh, well, why don't we just focus on being a good dad, and then you won't realize how much the priesthood doesn't actually work that way.
Yeah. Very much so.
But then the other part is that, there's a scripture somewhere that says, by small and simple things,
great things come to pass.
Great things come to pass. And so the small and simple things are just being like just having a good family. Mormons are all about family. It's the most important thing to them in the world is for a male and female body to have union, produce biological offspring, and then raise them together.
You just made that the most scientific and sterile thing I've ever heard.
Well, I didn't want to be exclusionary to the actual genuine perplexity of sexuality and gender.
You need to get a little drunker. I can tell you're sobering up.
I know, I'm sobering up. I laid off the beer.
It's because we chose beer. We chose beer, and we couldn't drink it through. Like,
I have an...
Everyone's so sober and so woke.
My current...
sucks.
But yeah.
That's funny.
So, I mean, if we were going to sum up what is the experience of being a man, it would be 2 ounces of entitlement, 1 ounce of righteous dominion, and a half ounce of fatherly humility.
And a pornography float.
Yes!
And a anti-pornography
float.
So that's
all in there.
That's the Mormon male cocktail.
That sounds like a delicious drink, by the way.
It's really delicious, and you know what it tastes like? Privilege. So that's a huge broad stroke or two about what it's like to be a man and a Mormon.
That's cool.
And so with that, we have arrived at the best part of any Mormon lesson, which is the activity.
The activity.
And by activity, what we mean is we have a bunch of dad jokes for you.
Yes.
Some Mormon dad jokes, because it's Father's Day. So here's the name of the game. Jordan and I are going to take turns telling these dad jokes. And the name of the game is Don't Really Laugh. Like, try to not laugh. And if anyone reacts in any sort of laughing or groaning way, you cannot laugh, you cannot groan. And if you do, you get a point.
All right, I'm going to chug this. I'm going to chug some of my beer before we start.
Okay, I'm going to chug the rest of this one.
Go.
Get it down. Chugging. They're both chugging, still going strong. I think DJB's going to win because Lauren's having a rough time.
Oh God.
Yikes.
I almost
Both of them are like losing it right
that
now.
up. Oh god. Oh my god. So here we go. We got some jokes. Some good dad
Hit
jokes.
me with the dad joke.
And they're Mormon. Oh, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4.
They're Mormon.
I can't read them first because I'm gonna laugh.
Okay, so here we go. If anybody, even me and Jordan, laugh or groan, you get a point. And the goal is to get the least amount
I'm
of
gonna
points.
lose this game.
And Jordan and my points are cumulative. So if either one of us does
So
it,
you're
it's
Oh,
a
so
point.
there's
for the
even
team.
more pressure
Yeah.
to not ruin it for the team. Okay.
Yeah. Jordan and I are a team because nothing says Mormon patriarchy like ganging up on a woman.
True.
Okay, here we go. Dad joke number 1. Said by a true dog dad. Oscar, come here. Hold on. Why are you not part of this Father's Day special? Yeah. You're my dog son. Okay, Oscar,
Okay.
are you ready for this? Joke number... Here's our first
No.
joke. What's a missionary's favorite car?
I don't know.
A convertible.
Damn it! Oh,
wait.
Come on! Damn it! I forgot. Okay.
It's fun.
I'm
It's
back.
funny to watch this instead of listen to it because I can see everybody like holding their breath.
I'm steel.
Everybody, now. Okay.
Steel.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Number 2.
Convertible. Yeah.
Did you hear about the guy who stopped reading the Book of Mormon?
No.
He got truth decay.
Stop
Jordan sucks at this game.
So I knew it was bad.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay, we
I'm
have
not
2
gonna-
points.
I'm gonna be locked down like Fort Knox. I'm a laughter Fort Knox.
I'm
Stop
gonna give
laughing.
Jordan a Lauren blessing. Put your head to the screen. Put your head to the screen.
Okay, my head is to the screen.
I'm
She's got
touching
her
his
hand
head.
there.
I'm blessing you with not laughing.
I can feel it working inside of me.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Another dad joke. Why were all the Lamanites' legs sore?
Why?
That sounds kind of like...
That's a laugh.
Wait, hold on. We
I'm
got
not doing anything. Go ahead, continue.
Why were all the Lamanites' legs sore?
Why?
Because of all the knee fights.
Damn it! We finished.
both
Okay. She laughed first.
Okay,
though.
1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I loved
Oh, is it my turn? It's my
Yeah.
turn. Sorry. Okay. Why wouldn't the Pharaoh let the Hebrews go?
because they were his slaves?
No, because he was in denial. Jordan! I can't not do it!
Jordan!
It was just a breath. It was one exhale.
My blessing!
Blessing did not
My
work.
blessing! It's because I don't have the literal power of God.
Stop fucking laughing. Okay. Last joke.
Okay.
An elderly Mormon is at the doctor's office. This old Mormon man. And he asks his doctor if the doctor thought that he would live to be 100. You know, he asks if he asks his doctor if he himself might live to be 100, and the doctor asks him, "Well, do you smoke or drink?" He says, "No, I've never done either." "Do you gamble, drive fast cars, or fool around with women?" And the old man says, "No, I've never done any of those things either." "Well then," says the doctor, "what do you want to live to be 100 for?"
Boom! Last laugh.
The last laugh.
Goes to Lauren.
Boom. And look, here's the
Roasted.
deal about the mansplaining Father's Day special. Jordan and I get to outvote you and we decide who wins the
Yeah.
game.
I don't remember laughing at all.
I don't remember laughing either.
And there's no possible way for us to
And
check
Lauren's,
the
and
record.
Lauren's laughing right now.
She's still laughing. Every
Like, she's
single
a
one
laughing
counts
person.
as one.
I'm
So
laughing,
I think we
but
won.
I just want to come from the frailty of female for a blessing.
Oh,
and
okay.
That blessing I wish would be for me to win.
Oh, damn
man,
it.
that's tough.
Damn it.
How'd she find the loophole?
Oh, fuck.
I guess, you know what? I'm gonna have to give her that.
Yes!
Damn it.
She knew how to do it.
Anyway, so that's our game.
That's our game.
And that's our lesson this week.
Fab.
Dun, 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 dun. Bah.
I feel like I learned a lot. I don't know. I feel like I learned something. I'm gonna.
It's interesting because talking about men's issues is sort of being like, yeah, so there's like not a lot of conflict or oppression. We kind of just do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's pretty. Nothing's that. Yeah.
So we're pretty good. We're pretty taken care of. But Lauren, thanks for joining us this week as we talked about men's issues of the world.
Yes. Thanks for letting us mansplain it to you.
And of course, Jordan, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for being here, Jordan.
And thank you everyone for listening to this bullshit. As always, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Drunk Mormon Pod. We're on Facebook.com/Drunk Mormon Podcast. If anyone has questions or if we got something wrong, write into drunkmormonpodcast@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on our social media. And give us a review on iTunes. Because that helps us, I don't know, something about algorithms. And it's validating. It makes us feel good about ourselves.
And we like to read them on the podcast.
And we'll read them on the podcast. But in the meantime, I'm David Sean Banks.
And I... Oh, no, Jordan,
I'm not
you go
in this.
first.
I do not
You go
participate.
first.
Mansplaining episode, Jordan first. I'm David John Banks. This is Jordan Hunter.
And I'm Lauren Sackwich.
And now we bid unto all
farewell.